this upcoming draft, we got a lot of great quarterbacks. Bo Nix, Drake May, Michael Penix Jr. Love Jaden Daniels. I'm a big Jaden Daniels guy. A lot of folks like J.J. McCarthy more than I do, but I understand why folks like him. A lot of talented quarterbacks. None of them, it's rare where all the quarterbacks pan out. You could argue, actually, 2020 was an exception to the rule. Burrow panned out. Tua isn't what Miami thought he'd be, but Tua is still a good player. Herbert has panned out, and Jordan Love looks to have panned out for the Green Bay Packers as far as first-round guys, and that matters, the first-round aspect of it. A lot of talented guys, and none more talented than Caleb Williams out of USC. Joel Klatt, who works for Fox Sports, does a fantastic job covering the games with Gus Johnson every Saturday afternoon on that network. He put out a tweet that's gotten a lot of buzz, a lot of pushback, a lot of people agreeing with him. I'll put it up here right here and read it for the audience, those that are listening. Joel Klatt the other day, if I were to rank as prospects the quarterbacks since 2012, Andrew Luck, RG3, here's where they would stack up. And he ranks them. Number 1, Caleb Williams. Number 2, Trevor Lawrence. 3, Burrow. Number 4, he's got Drake May. And number 5, Bryce Young. And at the bottom, he says, note, evaluation of Mahomes was difficult and no quarterback had succeeded from that offense prior. And he's 100% right. Like, that's anybody that tells you, hey, even the people that like Mahomes, that thought, I thought he was going to be probably the best quarterback. I mean, this is the lowest compliment I could give Patrick. I think he's going to be the best quarterback in the NFL. They're lying to you. That nobody saw that coming. The people that like Mahomes did not see that coming. A guy who's 13-19 in college, which college record, I don't really... I mean, if you go undefeated at Ohio State, yeah, I'd hope you do. I'd hope you get to the college football playoff at Ohio State. I'd sure hope so. But Joel Klatt's 100% right. Caleb Williams since 2012 is the best prospect I've ever seen. And I'll put up, Joel Klatt had his list. I'll put it up one more time. He had Caleb in this order: Caleb, Trevor, Burrow, Drake May, and Bryce Young. In this order since 2012, these to me are the best prospects that I've seen. Again, put it up here right now. 1 to 5, I've got Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck, Justin Herbert, Josh Allen. Now, Trey Lance was a guy I considered putting in the top 5 because I thought Trey was going to be the best the guy who had the best career of the 2021 draft picks because he went to San Francisco. That obviously did not even come close to panning out. Brock Purdy's the guy over there now. I'm still a massive Trevor Lawrence believer. I think the guy is remarkably talented and is playing for a crap organization in Jacksonville that has not had a whole lot of success, and there's a reason because of that. Andrew Luck, I think, is one of the great quarterback talents we've seen coming out of Stanford. Size, arm strength, great in the pocket, smart, aware, loved Andrew Luck. Justin Herbert, I thought, was the best quarterback. If you go back 4 years ago when it was COVID and there was nothing to talk about, I talked a lot of NFL draft. I loved Justin Herbert. Big arm, big physical guy, mobile. He showed that in the Rose Bowl against Wisconsin. Smart kid, the whole bit. Loved everything that Justin Herbert brought to the table, and I think the organization in LA has failed him the first 4 years of his career. Up until this year, he gets the pleasure of getting to play for Jim Harbaugh. And finally, at number 5, many think I'm a Josh Allen hater, which is just inaccurate. I just don't think he's Mahomes. I don't think that's hating. But I thought Josh Allen was the best quarterback out of that 18 draft. Now, I was wrong. I think Lamar Jackson's better than Josh Allen. But as far as prospects, Josh Allen's one of the 5 best I've seen. Because the thing is, if you look at each first-round quarterback since 2012, please tell me who thinks a better prospect, not player, prospect, than Caleb Williams. So 2012, and that's when Klatt referred to, is the first one he went back and looked at. 2012, first-round quarterbacks: Andrew Luck, RG3, Tannehill, Brandon Weeden. Luck's the only guy you can consider putting in the class as a prospect with Caleb Williams. 2013, only first rounder was EJ Manuel. We're not even going to discuss that. 2014, first round guys: Blake Bortles, Johnny Manziel, Teddy Bridgewater. None of them are in the same galaxy talent-wise as Caleb. 2015 actually happened to be the first and second overall picks: Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. I was a big Mariota guy. He didn't pan out the way I thought he would. Never viewed him as high as I viewed Caleb Williams. 2016, first round guys: Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, Paxton Lynch. But, Goff has obviously panned out, not into being first overall pick good, but Goff's a very good player. Wentz didn't pan out. Paxton Lynch didn't even come close to panning out. Just a straight up bust there. None of them talent-wise are the prospects Caleb Williams are. 2017, okay, first round guys: Mitch Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. As Klatt mentioned, and I totally agree with him, Anybody that thought Mahomes was going to be this is lying. Anybody that says they thought is lying to you. I thought Deshaun was going to be the best out of that 2017 draft. He obviously wasn't. Better than Trubisky, certainly. Trubisky's awful. But again, none of those guys, talent-wise, as a prospect, did not have them in the same category as Caleb. 2018, we had a lot of guys. Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, Josh Rosen, Lamar Jackson. Allen, loved as a talent, loved as a prospect. I did not love him as much as I love Caleb now. 2019, first-round guys. Kyler Murray, Daniel Jones, and the late Dwayne Haskins. Didn't view any of them in the same category as I viewed Caleb Williams. 2020, best quarterback draft maybe we've seen in some time since the early 80s. Burrow, Tua, Herbert, Jordan Love. A lot of folks were really high on Joe Burrow. I was not. Clearly, I was wrong. He's the second best quarterback in the league. I loved Herbert. He's been really what I thought he'd be. The Chargers organization has just failed him to this point. Liked Love, didn't love him. No pun intended. And wasn't a huge Tua guy from an injury standpoint. And then eventually as time went on from a production standpoint. 2021, Trevor, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. I love Trevor more than any of them put together. I still think he's the second best prospect I've seen that I've covered drafts for. Love him. Don't view him as good as Caleb. 2022, only first rounder was Kenny Pickett. I don't even want to discuss that as a Steelers fan today. 2023, Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Anthony Richardson. Don't view them as, now Richardson's an incredible, physical athlete. Bryce Young, and you will see this year if the Panthers give him an offensive line, kid is deadly accurate, is mobile, is smart. Bryce Young will never be as good as CJ Stroud. And I said that last year. That does not mean he's as bad as what you saw last year. Again, I said I defended Bryce Young all last year. Turn on any Carolina Panthers game and tell me, yeah, Bryce is the issue. Bryce is far from the issue in Carolina. I'm not saying he's going to be a star. I am saying he's not as bad as what you saw last year. And Stroud, I liked a lot of things about Stroud, size, arm strength, but I didn't think, again, there was the Ohio State question. A lot of Ohio State guys just don't pan out in the NFL. Stroud obviously has. Anybody who's a Caleb Williams skeptic, and there's oddly a lot of them, I ask this question because, again, I maintain, and this is why I'm doing this segment, I think he's the best quarterback prospect I've ever seen. I didn't see Peyton Manning. I didn't see those guys in college, at least. I saw Peyton in his pro career. What isn't? We're going to say not what is. What isn't Caleb Williams' bare minimum an A- at? He's got a cannon for an arm. He's insanely accurate. His completion percentage bears that out. He's mobile. Again, there's a lot of Mahomes comparisons where he can move in and outside the pocket. He can run. He's a bigger guy, and not as big as like an Andrew Luck, for example, or a Trevor Lawrence, but big guy, sturdy, can take the NFL hits. Took a lot of hits at USC last year, right? Mobile, A+. Arm strength, I give an A. Accuracy, A+. Size, A. Command, decision-making, all of them are excellent. Now, I get this. There's a maturity question, and that is always something I take into account with quarterback more than any position in all sports. Unless you're literally out there getting arrested, I really don't care about your overall maturity as an athlete. If you, and in most instances, except for quarterback, because you're representing the front office, you're representing the coaching staff, you are the face of the franchise. It's different than being the face of the franchise in the NBA. It is. You have more responsibilities on and off the field than any team athlete there is. So there has to be a level of emotional intelligence, maturity, carry yourself the right way. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence that the guys who have been successful, Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar, all of these guys are, I mean, Dak, everybody hates Dak, but you cannot say Dak does not carry himself at an A+ level on and off the field. There's a reason those guys have been successful. And frankly, those to me are the 5 best quarterbacks in the sport. That matters. And I get for Caleb, he had the pain and nails last year with Utah, or really a couple seasons ago, where he's like F Utah or something like that. Of course, I don't like that. But Baker Mayfield has taught me a very valuable lesson. And it took Baker a while, but I was not a Baker Mayfield guy coming out of Oklahoma. I did not think he was the best quarterback in that draft, and I've been proven to be right in that regard. But We know this is a general rule. Men take longer to mature than women. That's just the lay of the land. That's how it works. Baker was really immature in Oklahoma. And Baker, unlike Caleb, had legal stuff. Not to the level of Johnny Manziel. People compare Baker to Johnny. That was not fair to Baker. But he was running for the cops. There were some other issues. Look at him in Tampa now. He's been through the fire. Now, one could argue, hey, if he has success in Cleveland, if he never leaves Cleveland, does he mature? That's a fair question to ask. Sometimes you got to kind of fall on your butt to really recognize, hey, I need to straighten myself out. I get that as a reasonable question with Caleb Williams. But criticisms like, oh, he cried in his mother's arms after a loss. I think it was to Washington. That's why he can't be a franchise quarterback. Folks, I have a rule about crying on the show. I've said it so many times. I actually look higher on an athlete when he cries than when he or she than when they don't. Because to me, if I see you care so much about your sport and about winning, you are moved to tears. Love that. Everybody, I remember years ago, people made fun of Joel Embiid after he cried after Kawhi hit the walk-off in Toronto. I'm like, okay, I can build around that guy if I'm Philadelphia. I can't build out of Ben Simmons, who looked indifferent, who looked like, oh, okay, yeah, well, yeah. Oh, we lost on the offseason. Here we go. Embiid was crushed. Embiid's where he's at. Simmons is where he's at. So I actually view that as a positive with Caleb Williams. The fact that he was so, the USC lost 5 games last year. Caleb was a part of all of them. He was bothered by those losses. I freaking love it. Mahomes lost a lot of, to me, you build a, what's the term I'm looking for? You build almost like an armor. I don't know if that's the right phrase to use, but you build almost like an armor when you continuously lose in college. Again, Mahomes, losing record in college. Allen did not win a lot of games at Wyoming, to my knowledge, from what I can remember. Lamar Jackson wasn't winning national championships. Like, C.J. Stroud is really kind of Stroud, and I still believe in Trevor Lawrence. We can debate that another day. They're kind of the exception to the rules, where they go to a powerhouse school, win a lot of games. Trevor won a national championship. Stroud got to a college football playoff, really successful, winning, and then they just continue it in the NFL. That's usually not how it works. Burrow's the exception to the rule as well. Mahomes did not go to a college powerhouse. Lamar Jackson did not go to a college powerhouse. Josh Allen definitely didn't go to a powerhouse. Neither did Dak. Neither did Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of quarterbacks you can use that example for. So I'm a Caleb Williams believer. I think the guy's going to be a phenomenal player, and I think the Chicago Bears, I think it would be the biggest mistake. The Bears have been around for a century. I think it'd be the biggest mistake in the history of their franchise if they stick with Justin Fields over Caleb Williams. I think it would be organizational malpractice if they do that. It would wreck them. Listen, Chicago has not had, this is one of the craziest stats ever. Chicago has not had a quarterback throw for 4,000 yards or throw for 30 touchdowns. That doesn't even make sense. Cleveland's had guys do that. You're telling me you take Justin Fields over Caleb? Okay. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.